Happy Sunday, everybody. This week I thought we'd take on a little bit of a fun project, something that I believe anyone can do. So I've got some scrap materials I'll show you. Some's from a previous jungle gym that I actually made out of scrap material. So I'm going to repurpose that. I've got a jungle gym basket that I used to hang from the ceiling. For those that have been following along, that's been shown in previous videos. I think it was called Yes, They Have Jungle Gyms. So this is just a little, how-to for those that might be able to provide a jungle gym for their animals, but it doesn't have to cost a ton of money to provide something that can really benefit your animals. High investment doesn't always correlate to better practice. So there are ways to do these things that you can set up something that your animals will really get some benefit out of, and it doesn't have to be extremely expensive. So that's what we're going to do today. I apologize, you all, it's quite hot in my garage. Kansas is no joke during the summer, but I wanted to show you guys, for those that aren't familiar, this is just a little basket. It's wire inside, wrapped with natural material. I got this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, something to that effect. And I think it was like 15 bucks. Some cheap rope, Home Depot or any store like that. I'm gonna use the rope to wrap around some of the jungle gym that I create and give it some additional texture and gripping surface. And then we also have a scrap 2x2. It's about 5 feet long, just something I had at the house. And then the last thing is a jungle gym. As you can see, it's still got some skin on it, needs to be cleaned up. It hasn't been used in a while, but this was something I made with some scraps that used to go inside an 8-foot enclosure. So because I've got the material, the animal doesn't use this anymore, I'm gonna take it apart and we're gonna put it into our new jungle gym. I've got to run to the shop, get some of my tools because everything is moved away from the house tool-wise, and I'm gonna stop at Home Depot and also grab at least one more 2x4 so that I can use something to really create something stable for the base. So we're gonna head out, grab that stuff, and I'll see you right back here. Okay, everybody, so we're back from Home Depot. Supplies I showed you already, excuse me, are in a different room. I ended up going with a 4x4 instead of a 2x4. These were the 5 pieces of lumber that I bought. I'll show you the receipt. It was $33 and some change after tax, so not free, but 35 bucks. I had some screws that I can already use, so I didn't have to buy any screws. This is gonna be our main post. These are all 8 feet long. I'm gonna cut this down to 6 foot just for my ease of movement. We've got a speed square. You don't have to have this, like I said. This stuff doesn't have to be perfect, square, any of that. I'm doing that for my own ease of use. These are 2x3s. Went with these, a little bit cheaper than 2x4. I like that it's a square edge instead of rounded. These are gonna be my floor supports. So we're gonna cut these in half, and then these 2x2s are going to be some additional climbing stuff. And I'll show you guys as we get into it, but just remember when you're building things, triangles are the strongest shape. It's easy to do. Doesn't have to be any perfect angle, but try and make triangles versus squares. Squares are a lot less structurally sound, so that's just something to keep in mind as you guys are going through it. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna measure 2 feet off of this. We are going to use the speed square. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Cut this off. These pieces are legs. I'm gonna just cut them in half and verify our length. Right at 8 feet, so I want to mark 4 foot on both of these. And then for these, we've got 8 feet, and I want them to be roughly 3 pieces. So to get 3 feet out of 8-foot pieces, we're gonna land at roughly 2 foot 8 inches. So we've got all our lines cut out. I'm gonna use a circular saw. For what it's worth, if you guys don't have a saw or a power tool to use to cut your lumber, A lot of Home Depots will cut stuff down for you. My local one doesn't charge for it. I've heard some others, it might be a couple of dollars, but if you know what size you're gonna make and you know what cuts you wanna do a little bit of planning and they'll cut it for you so you don't have to mess with it. Or if you don't have the tool, you don't have to buy a handsaw and hand saw this down or do any of that. So there are options even if you don't have any tools. So I'm gonna run outside, we're gonna make these cuts, and I'll be right back. We've got all of our cuts made, just kind of laid it out in the same span so you guys can see the same materials. So these are gonna be our, our legs that come off of our base, and then those will come next. So very simply, move some of this out of my way. And then, quite simply, we're going to attach these and we're just going to kind of spiral around them. Like I said, I've got some screws. For those that haven't done woodworking, one trick is you don't want to be in the same line of the grain. You want to offset your screws. That'll potentially help you with lowering your chance of splitting the wood if you're not going to pre-drill holes like I'm not doing in this particular instance. So the goal is try and get it as square as we can, roughly. Go with this end. I like that end a little bit better. Use some of my other pieces to support it. Again, this is just rough. Get ourselves in line here. The biggest thing with how I'm going to do this is each one of these is going to go in a spiral around. So you want to make sure that your backside is clear because there's going to be another board coming off of that. Now we're going to flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. Now we've got our two. From there, we can go ahead and finish up with the other two sides. As you guys can see, what we're trying to accomplish here is just an overall wide base. Frankly, this base is probably a little bit overkill, but since some of the animals are getting bigger, I wanted to make it extra large just to make it extra stable. There's our base. Okay, so we had to jump back a step. The 2x3s that I thought I liked split, they didn't feel secure. So we're pivoting, we're changing our approach. Gonna use the scrap 2x4s. So for those of you that might be going and getting supplies, if you don't have it, go with the 2x4s, not 2x3s. These are, I believe, are gonna work much better. Much better. As you all are working, especially with repurposed lumber, as I just found out, be careful. There can be sharp edges. And avoiding cuts is always a good thing. And then we'll get it stood up. I think I'm gonna just use that for some additional support. This stuff will come off, but frankly, for right now, it doesn't really matter. So we'll go ahead and just leave it on there. Save myself some effort. You know what? That piece of scrap is what we're going to use. This is all about budget build. How can we make something from not much? So we'll let it ride and stick with our theme. What do you guys think? All right. Like I said, it's not the prettiest, Frankly, it's awfully heavy, but the goal is how do we make something for our animals that doesn't cost us much money. As you can see, this is about as crappy chic as it gets, and it doesn't really matter because the animals don't care what it looks like. They care about getting exercise and getting new smells. So that's the purpose of it, and we're going to keep chugging along with it. For the next part, this one is going to be a little bit more of a finesse. And I was thinking about how do we describe the approach here, and I was thinking it might be a little bit old for some of the younger viewers, but for those that know Bob Ross, we're looking for happy little accidents. Nothing has to be perfect, it's just gotta work. Let's see, what else do we want to put together? Maybe one going this way. Basil's watching what we're doing. Just kind of the same approach as we did below. There we have kind of a general structure. Again, these only have one screw, so these are going to want to pivot on us. But once you connect stuff together, that's how you alleviate those issues. So, give me a second and we'll keep on moving. All right, like I said, this is just kind of a see what we can come up with project. So let's see what we can come up with. And that didn't work. All right, attempt number 2, longer screws. And as you can see, the parts that I ended up not liking for the base, we're still using. So still able to utilize the parts we've got. And again, it doesn't have to be pretty. It's just got to work. There we have our main structure. I just spilled all my screws. Anyways, as you can see, it's not pretty. It's frankly quite ugly, but since we've got everything in triangle shape, even with just one screw, we're pretty secure. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some more screws so that we know that our animals are safe. But again, those that know me and the enclosures I build, fine detail is incredibly important for certain things. For certain things, it doesn't matter. So don't worry too much about, well, I'm not sure what measurements, how to do that. Make sure your base is good and wide and strong. That's the most important part. Make sure your climbing perches are affixed well so the animals don't get hurt if they fall. But outside of that, it doesn't matter what you create. It can be this, it can be something completely different. It really doesn't matter. All that matters is, are we providing something that our animals can get enrichment from, enjoy, and stuff like that. So now I'm going to add a few more things. I'm going to get some of that rope. We're going to put some rope on here. We're going to droop some, wrap some, and just kind of see where it leads us. So the basket you guys saw from earlier, I've taken that apart. We've got a couple of about 6-foot sections and one that's probably about 15 feet. So again, Bob Ross approach. What kind of happy accident can we create? So we're going to tie, if you guys get this kind of rope, this man-made fiber rope, you're going to want to burn the ends. That'll help prevent it from fraying so drastically. And then I would say when you tie it on here, tie it at a point where you've got something that's solid, and I would add a screw through the rope into the wood just for some extra security. See, I'm going to go straight through our knot. I don't want it poking through the top where an animal can get to it. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just something for a little additional security. Put a screw through the knot. All right, there's one piece. We'll take our other short piece, do kind of the same thing. All right, our last piece. And where do we want to go with this? This one I think we're just going to kind of wrap for some texture. And you know what? I don't like it. I think it's a waste of materials. So I'm going to brainstorm for a second. All right, I've undone the wrap. Like I said, I don't like it. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of make a little bit of a kind of a web with what we've already got put together. And this part doesn't have to be terribly secure. Just we want some movement, right? We want the animals to have to use their muscles and balance and stuff like that. I believe that's important for them. So we're gonna lightly secure with just putting kind of a basic knot, but nothing really substantial. Again, letting the rope move around, I believe, can be beneficial. Like I said, this is anything but pretty. Frankly, it's quite ugly, but the goal was not to spend a bunch of time and money to create something pretty. The goal was, what can I make in a matter of a couple of hours, throw it together that my snakes can get some exercise in. So I think we're to the point. We're going to take it outside and we'll show you guys an animal on it. All right, I'm not sure how well you can see me. We're a little cramped. Side note, make sure you know how big your doorways are. This will go outside, but it's going to take some extra work. I was able to get it out to the snake room, but Chu'Mana was looking quite interested, so I figured we could end it, let this pretty girl do a little exploration, and test out what we made. What do you think, sweetie? Like I said, it's not perfectly square, so you may see it teeter just a little bit here and there, but that's okay. The base is extra wide, so we don't have to worry about it tipping over on her. Like I said, the most important thing is that the animals are getting exercise, some mental stimulation. They don't care what it looks like. They really don't. So, as long as it's something you can live with, knowing that it's nothing more than a jungle gym for your snakes to get some exercise, I'd say it's been a success. Let's watch Chu'Mana explore a little bit. Hey, gorgeous. Are you hiding? All right, everybody. That's going to be it. Our quick little one-off jungle gym. You can see right there. It's another little thing of scrap material that I threw together that goes in some of the enclosures, helps some of the animals shed. Chu'Mana is sitting there very intently sniffing all of the different smells. I'm sure there's some stuff from Home Depot that she's never smelled before. Few details to keep in mind though. The first is You really don't want to use pressure treated lumber. The chemical in that, I don't think it's good for your animals to be on, especially for extended periods. So stay away from pressure treated lumber. The other stuff is also cheaper, so that's good. It won't hold up to the elements as well, but it's worth having to redo in a few years versus having the pressure treated where the animals could get some chemicals on them. That's just not worth it. Another thing, like I said, make sure your doorways are big enough so that it gets outside. What else, Chu'Mana? Hi, sweetie. She's very intent right now. All right, here's my pretty girl. New stuff. She's obviously enjoying it. Oh, it's tall, but not quite that tall. So, as I said, guys, you can do a whole lot with not much. The animals don't care what it looks like. So it's what can you provide to them that benefits them. The last note is kind of comical, but it's very true. Just keep in mind, especially with retics, the higher up they are, if and when they go to the bathroom, the bigger the splat will be. So, tarp on the ground, outside is more ideal, and just have fun with it. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do for your animals that won't cost you a lot of money, and they'll be all the better for it. So, thanks for sticking around. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see y'all next week. My pretty girl.